There are so many examples of watching him over the last few years where he does so many great things, and you want to see that from a young player. But at some point, the next step of the progression has to be quit doing dumb things. You're forcing the issue, and you don't have to. So if he could just eliminate or at least cut those mistakes in half, then he could become a very productive player in this league. But at this point, he's more similar to Jameis Winston than he is to some of the greats in the league.
The tape is really good there. It really is sort of a Charles Dickens, best of times, worst of times microcosm of everything we've seen in his career. So let me now come over here where Mike Tannenbaum and Dan Graziano are with me. And Graz, let me start with you because the Giants have one win, which means they could very easily find themselves at the end of this season in position to consider drafting one of the big quarterbacks who might be in this draft. What is your sense of how committed they are to Daniel Jones at this stage?
I think they like Daniel Jones. They like his aggressiveness. They like his talent. They hate the turnovers. I mean, there's no way around it. So they need to iron that out. But as of now, they still believe he has the ability to be their franchise quarterback for the long term. They recognize that the group around him is not what they want it to be, what it would be if they were going to put him in the best possible position to succeed. So my understanding is their focus is on improving that group around him while they work with the 23-year-old quarterback to figure out how he can eliminate the mistakes.
Who, again, they drafted number 6 overall just a year ago. Mike Tannenbaum, my general manager. What would you be thinking if you were sitting in that chair right now, evaluating Daniel Jones and looking at the quarterbacks who will be in this draft?
Yeah, I thought Greg nailed it, which is there's a lot of good on Daniel Jones, and then there's these massive mistakes. It really reminds me of Mark Sanchez, where we're playing and we're doing well, and then there's 1 or 2 plays a game, Greeny, where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that. And let me tell you, as a general manager, that does 2 things, less hair and more weight. So I'm sure I know what Dave Gettleman's feeling this morning. And then to spin the story forward, I think there's something known now as the Cliff Kingsbury phenomenon in the NFL, which is this. Josh Rosen is a top 10 pick. A year later, Cliff Kingsbury comes in. They jettison Rosen. They draft Kyle Murray, and the rest is history. I think the standard by which Daniel Jones will be held accountable is higher because George Judge did not draft Daniel Jones, and therefore, if I was them, I would draft Justin Fields from Ohio State. He's a better athlete. He's more accurate. He makes less mistakes. And if you said I could either have Jones or Fields for the next 10 years, if I'm the Giants, I'm taking Fields.
Okay, again, if Lawrence is available, that almost seems like a foregone conclusion. Fields would be the interesting one if he's available.
Yeah, and we don't know what the status is going to be of Dave Gettleman, the GM, who did draft Daniel Jones. Will they move on from him at the end of the year? Who's going to be making this decision? But Mike's point, those Mark Sanchez teams you guys had were really, really good around the quarterback, right? The Giants are in a much different situation with Daniel Jones in terms of the ability to make him look good.
That's fair, but they do have the one win, and those teams went to championship games. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.